with High Five Practice, and thanks to all of you for joining us on this segment where we get to eat together every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Time. Only you guys know when I say eat, I mean something a little different than food. Trevor, you know this too. EAT is our formula to generate loyal patients for life. It stands for educate, automate, and target. Say it with me: educate, automate, and target. But by all means, I know this is on your lunch hour, so you can physically eat your food while I fill you up with some knowledge for all things dental. And today, you guys, I have a very, very special guest, our one and only Trevor Hill, new client relations of High Five Practice. We're going to talk about common questions that he gets from dental offices. So thanks so much, Trevor, for joining us. Hey.
Hey, Abby. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Yeah, I am new client relations here at High Five, and any potential clients that want to come on with us, I get to talk to and walk them through their marketing journey, whether that be with us or whatever other questions they might have.
Yeah, and you take care of all the potential clients. You walk them through. You make sure, hey, what are you going through right now? And really make sure that they're taken care of. And oh my gosh, I can't imagine anybody else doing the job, Trev. So yay.
I appreciate that.
Well, you talk to a lot of different offices on a daily basis. So that's why I really wanted to have you on here, is to kind of get a feel of what's going on in dental today, what you're hearing a lot about, and see what kind of questions we can be answering for people. Because if there are common questions on the phone, I'm sure there's common questions out there that we can help resolve. So that being said, what are you hearing a lot lately as far as what's going on in the dental industry?
Yeah, that it's changing. It is from a marketing perspective, especially, it's changing. There's everything from websites to pay-per-clicks, SEOs, Facebook ads, Google reviews, and softwares. There's so many different things out there for dentists, and it's really so much different for a lot of these dental offices that have been so used to word of mouth marketing that they've grown their practice with, and trying to compete with these other offices that are up and coming and utilizing some of these softwares and different marketing avenues. It's been really interesting to talk to them and help them get into this new world of technology and the way that marketing is headed.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a great point, that it's always been this traditional referrals. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. We're going to help each other out, type of mentality. And it's like that just on steroids, I think, is what is hard for practices to understand, that in this digital age, there's just all of this opportunity. But in return, that brings so much more competition too, because you're exposed. Yes, you might be out there on your Google page, but so is all of your competition. And they're right next to you, right underneath you. And just having to stand out against everybody, a referral only goes so far at this point. But
yes,
that's really interesting. And I don't know about you, but you just saying all that out loud was like overwhelming. So
yes, it's been overwhelming for me to learn all of these different things. It's you don't really think about all the different avenues that are out there until you think back and you're like, well, I do get a lot of emails, or I do get a lot of pop-up ads. And it's just been interesting to see the dental industry going into that world and, utilizing, I have dentists every day. They're like, how can I be the number one when somebody Googles me? How do I be on top? Or how do you get these Google reviews? And so that's just been really interesting and fun to work with some of these offices to educate them and help them through this journey from word of mouth to the technological world.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you talked about all those different types of marketing approaches and how we can really, there's so many different out there. So that being said, why do you think that people love High Five's approach? Because our approach is a little different, and you might want to explain that because you're the best one to explain it anyway. But yeah, why do you think people love High Five's approach, and what is it that's a little different with us?
Yeah, first and foremost, I think that the personalization, the customization is probably one of the number one things that they love. You know, all of our clients, their patients, they don't receive stock images in all of their emails and texts. They receive a picture of the doctor that they just saw, or a picture of the team, or a picture of the office, something that's going to resonate, something that's going to, you know, make them have that personal connection with the doctor, that they're like, oh man, doc, he's thinking about me. He's just sent me that email, and you know, it has that personal touch. But what makes us a little bit different is the internal aspect. You know, that all of the websites, pay-per-clicks, SEO, everything that I just mentioned is a part of everybody's race for the, you know, new clients. They will all want, or new patients. They all want new patients. But my question is always, what about the patients that you already have? You know, you can look at your patient database, and there could be 7,000 patients in that database, and 3,000 of them could be you know, unscheduled in the last year. So I'm like, why, you know, why would you ever go try to find a new one? You got 3,000 that already trust you, that have already sat in your chair. So I think that's what makes us different. That is that we are all about retention. We are all about personalization, customization, and, you know, truly creating lifelong loyal patients for the doctor.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, I mean, new is, it's definitely a necessity. Don't get us wrong, but it's that approach
Right.
of, that doesn't mean neglect your existing patients. Like, you work so hard to get that new patient,
Mhm.
whether you spent ads, whether you know, built up your credibility with your current patients and got referrals. So then when they walk in the door and you're just like, got them, and then that's it. You just let them figure it out from there. But like we said, with all this competition before that, when they Google somebody, when they look up dental implants, when they look up same day crowns, they can actually see what other offices have that. And by communicating to your patients through as simple as emails and text messages, and letting them know that, hey, we offer this and we're doing this to make your experience better, it just creates, like you said, that lifetime patient, that loyal patient for life, and really making sure that they're bought into your practice and they're part of your community, they're part of your brand. It always blows my mind how it's neglected, or what's taught, which is absolutely accurate. What's commonly taught is the way you present things, the way you talk about it in the office.
Right.
But I know something that you always talk about is like, well, how do you
Yeah.
get them in the office? You know?
Yeah. What
Yeah.
happens when they leave the office? You know, a lot of things, I put myself in there. A lot of things go in my ear and out the other.
Yeah.
And I, you know, having that email sent that is, you know, relaying that message, reminding me that that it's there, and this is information that I need to know, and something that I might need to act on, is the perfect way. And especially with the personalization, it looks as if it came directly from doc. That's going to give them the extra push to be like, okay, I've got to get back on the books. I've got to get this procedure done so it doesn't turn into something bigger down the road.
Yeah. I want to pull this stat too, because I love that you're saying customization. And I really want to drive this home because this stat says 80% of customers are more likely to convert from a brand that provides a personalized experience. And to your point, Trevor, it's not a stock photo of a toothbrush, a parrot, a dog, whatever. It's an actual, which again, something is better than nothing, but really making that personal touch of having a doctor, of having the team, of having the office, even having your pictures of your own patients. We even like to go a step above that and say, what about a video? You know, what about
Right.
showcasing customized videos, and not a stock photo or video that shows some model out in California talking about services that it's like, that's not my doctor. Like, that doesn't
Right.
really relate.
Exactly.
It's great information, but it's personalized. It's you as the doctor, as the thought leader, presenting that information. So then they know they can trust you. So they not only know that same day crowns exist, but they know that they want to do same day crowns with you. It's building that relationship, that authority. So they really are like, oh my gosh, it's not even a thought. Like, why would I go anywhere else? My doc does it. I already love them, and I'm going to keep going. And I'm also going to get it all done in a short amount of time, because that's what I want, convenience. You know?
Exactly. And that's, you know, that a lot of patients, I don't think, change doctors because they had a bad experience. It's simply because they Googled, they found the easiest one possible to book with, and they did it. And that's probably why they went somewhere different. So to give them those options, to be personal with them, to hit those pain points, combat those barriers yourself, that is really where our clients see a lot of success with retaining their patients.
Yeah. And it's making it easy for them too, right? Like we have these conversations, or if they did have a bad experience, if you're not opening up that opportunity to talk to your patients and just say, oh, we messed up, they're gone, there's an opportunity to get them back. Like have that conversation, or maybe other people are leaving your practice because of that same reason. And then they don't feel heard for one, or they're not saying it aloud, so you're not aware until a bad review comes in, and then you're like, oh,
Right.
great. I don't know if we can get this. But we always like to talk about an end of year survey or doing something to your patients to really open that, being very transparent, or of course having conversations in the chair too, but openly talking about these things and improving it. And not only improving it, but then in the new year, you can say, hey, we did a survey. We found out that 80% of our patients, maybe not 80, 20% of our patients don't have insurance, and they really feel like they're neglected when it comes to payments. So guess what? We're implementing a membership program, and we're getting this just for you. Insurance users, you can still have that, but this is also an option for you too. So not only did you hear a problem that potentially could have lost patients on, but you communicated it, key here.
And then offered a solution.
Offered a solution and made sure they knew about that solution, and it wasn't just one-on-one conversation with one person.
Right. And with that, you just created a lifelong patient.
Exactly.
Who is going to trust you until the very end.
Exactly. It's that open communication. It's that not sending an email to tell people about, just about a food can drive that you're doing, which is also great. Don't get me wrong, but it's educating on another level. It's communicating them with information they want to actually obtain and feel like they have control over their healthcare, over the decisions they want to make. And yeah, providing you as the trusted provider and being like, wow, why would I go anywhere else? They take care of me and I can trust them, because we all know that is the terrible stigma that's out there is, can I trust this doctor? Can I trust this dentist? Do I really need this done? Right? It's taking down those barriers and talking about it. And that's what's going to make the relationship personalization. And I always love, Trev, you say this. We're going to help your messages be an extension of the doctor's voice, which I think it's so strong. So because there's photos of them, but like go a little bit more into how we can do that.
Yeah. So every communication that we send out is obviously approved by the office, and we take not only those stock photos out, but we take those stock messages out. A lot of times they look like a bill, or they look, like something like every other spam message that everybody gets on a daily basis. So what we like to do is sit down with the doc in a meeting and say, let's build out these messages. Let's put this personal touch not only with the photo, but also let's exactly whatever you're going to say to your patients in the chair, let's put it in the message and then sign it from you, because this is from you. These are your thoughts. And that is just another way to create that personal touch where they feel, doc, he really cares. He really wants me to understand. He really wants this problem to be resolved for me, so it doesn't turn into me having to be in here a month from now or a week from now. We can get this done with one day, one procedure, and then afterwards he's going to email me the post-op instructions, because I love that, because I would forget everything that was told to me after an operation. I mean, I don't know how I would expect myself to remember everything that was told. So sending something like that after an operation is like, holy smokes, doc cares about me, and this is perfect. Now I know exactly how to take care of myself after the operation that I just had, and I'm not going to let this turn into a bigger problem than it already is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love the post-op too. I think it's so underutilized. A lot of times you leave the office and you have like a packet of information and it's so intimidating. And I'm like, I'm not going to read all this. And even the verbiage that's stated is like, I don't know what you're saying. It's
Right.
making sure. I always love, we say, we know how to talk to patients because we are the patients. And it's as simple as, and I mean, you and me might do this, right? Where we talk so much about marketing day in and day out that we catch ourselves saying stuff that's, we're saying PPC and SEO. And it's like, what are you saying? It's like another language. That's the same with doctor to patient relationships. Sometimes
Right.
you're talking and talking and you're so in your own verbiage and your own lingo, that you get so comfortable and you lose sight of who's actually reading it, who's actually using this information. And to make sure that, okay, if I gave it to even my like 8-year-old child, are they going to have a general idea of what this means? I just want to simplify it to make sure it makes sense to the end user. And that can commonly get lost. Or there's the talking over the head because you know so much about the topic that it's hard to simplify it. Or there's also the what do I want to say? It's not coming across because you're trying to be too catchy. You're trying to be too trendy, and it's like,
Right.
what's the end motive here? Like, what we talk about the goal and the strategy and making sure it's not just an email and a text. Like
Exactly.
why are we sending this out? There's purpose. And by looking at it that way, you can figure out, well, we want them to book an appointment. Okay, well, who is this audience to? Oh, they're overdue. Okay, perfect. So these are overdue patients that need an appointment, and we want them to book an appointment. I can look at that. I can have something catchy in there. I can have the message. I can have a big call to action button to make sure it works and that they can actually book an appointment online. But at the end of the day, it's not over my head and it's not trying to schmooze me too much because I'm getting to the point. And it's all about strategy. It's all about that thought along with personalization.
Yeah, and I think that we do a great job of finding that middle ground, finding that, just like you just said, was, we know how to talk to the patients because it's not a high level message and it's not a tricky message. It's just like the conversation we're having now. It's just a simple message that is letting them know in our terms, in the patient's terms, how they need to go about whatever message they're getting that day or whatever treatment they might be proposed. So I do feel that is another strong suit of us, is we've done a great job of finding the middle ground where patients can connect with the doctor.
Absolutely. This stat drives me crazy. It doesn't drive me crazy. It blows my mind. Kind of does too a little bit. Only 20% of dental practices use email marketing. Is that not crazy?
That's crazy.
20%. So anyway, and email marketing is 40 times more effective than social media. Like, I know, and so, again, these are all things that are very important to have in your practice. You need to be implementing, but it's just like new patients. You have to acquire new patients, absolutely. But you also have to make sure you're taking care of your existing patients. Don't neglect it. Don't neglect email marketing. Don't neglect your existing patients. And I promise you're going to see results, because Trev and I see this every single day. And
every day.
It's incredible. And it's cost effective. It's incredible. We can go on and on about this, but so let me ask you this, Trev, because you talk to a lot of practices too that are new to marketing as a whole, whether they're established or new or what have you. So what are common questions that you get when they are just starting to introduce marketing into their practice?
Yeah, first and foremost, it's where do I start? And for a new practice, a brand new startup practice with no patient database, website, SEO, pay-per-clicks, Facebook ads, Google ads, trying to get those reviews up, that is your lane that you should be in, because that's how you're going to get that patient base. But if you are acquiring a practice where there is already an existing patient database, I would say us, because our internal marketing it allows you to introduce yourself to the database that you're taking over, letting them know things that you might be implementing, new strategies, new technology. It's a great way to just get your face out there to that database and be able to, start forming that lifelong relationship that the past doctor has already formed and nurtured.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about that as far as transition and everything, I really want to dive into that because that's such a great point. Is yes, you need to acquire new patients. If you are a scratch practice, you're going to have to, front some money, so to speak, to get the ball rolling, and it'll be worth it. You've got to put ads. You've got to make sure that you're known, especially if you're in a saturated area. You got to make sure that you have a presence and that you do get that clientele built up. Once you have patients, or I'm sorry, if you bought a practice that already has patients, nothing is scarier to any individual, whether they like change or not. Most people don't like change if they don't know about it. Nothing's scarier than a doctor you've built a relationship over. And, even like when I moved here 8 years ago to Nashville, I finally felt like it took me 2-3 years to finally get my dentist, to finally get my hairstylist. And it's like, if I showed up in the chair and it was just this new person, I'd be like, who are you? What are you doing here?
Exactly. Yes. It's one of the toughest transitions that you can make is seeing a new doctor, somebody that you don't know if you can trust, or, because you've had such a great experience in the past, maybe with another doctor that you love. That is a tough transition for somebody. So being on the forefront of that, communicating with those patients, I think is a huge deal to creating that lifelong patient and keeping those patients within that database.
And it's making it a celebration. I think that's what a lot of people miss too. It's one thing to communicate to them and let them know, hey, doc is retiring, but we're really excited. Or first you want to introduce the new doctor. No matter what, introduce who they're gonna see. And you want it to be this verbiage of, we're so excited to introduce this new doctor. We hired them because of you. We want to serve more of you and take care of you. And that's why we hired this new person. We've vetted through a lot of different people, and this was the right person for our team and for our patients. And you're going to love them. Like that's all. You're validating so many different concerns that they have internally, whether they know it or not. A lot of times we can't put our finger on it. We just know that it's uncomfortable and we don't like it, right? Like this
Right.
is just not right. This isn't right. But why isn't it right? Because I don't know if I can trust this person. I don't know, how long are they going to be there? Are they, why are you hiring? Are you leaving? So all of these concerns are boiling up in people. And if you just address them and like hit those pain points, we did it because of growth. Our team loves them. They're certified by the E.A.T. Perfect. Like these are great reasons for them, or reasons for them to feel justified in trusting that new doctor. And then you start to build that authority. And then that's when you can kind of trickle out if that doctor is going to be retiring. And even if we're 2-3 months out, just hold on to that a little bit. Like let the doctor build their authority, this new person.
Right.
And make sure it's all working out as well. You want to have 60 days to make sure the doctor's even going to stay there. But then, that's when you start saying this, the doctor you've loved forever, they are on this new journey of their life. And we're so excited that they finally get to spend time and travel with their family. They're going to be retiring. But again, don't worry. We have this new doctor. Remember, they're awesome and we love them.
Yes.
All of that's communication of transitioning that is only going to keep the patients, because if a doctor bought a practice with patients, they want to keep him. And the reason you can keep it is by communicating.
Yes, exactly.
And as far as what about like practices that aren't transitioning or anything like that, they just have existing patients, would you say it's sticking with those communications and making sure Because sometimes people are like, well, I'm not going through any transitions. I'm just
Right.
to go to the next level. I'm just with
Right. Yes.
practice. What would you say to
Yeah,
that?
and what I would say is I would look at, I think the national average for patients that are booking before they leave the office, they're booking that next appointment, is around 60%, 67%. I would say look at that other 40% of those patients that are walking out without scheduling. That's a great place to start. Just trying to get, retaining those patients, getting those patients back on the books, because if you can get to 80% of patients rescheduling those appointments or accepting those high value procedures, that's really where you're going to see the growth in your practice.
I love it. That's so true. You want to bring yourself to the next level, expand your either practice, build out, have more operatories, have more technology,
Right.
utilize your existing patient. Oh, no, that's a great stat too, to make sure that you're not neglecting it. It's such a huge number to be neglecting.
Right.
So
And
that's
yeah, that's the whole goal. One of our big goals is just recapturing that 40%. That's what we try to do for our clients every day. I think our percentage is we capture around 36% of that 40. So our clients are feeling the effects of it, and we have a lot of clients that are growing, and as you know, of course, that are getting to add more opportunities, getting to buy that new piece of equipment because they're investing in the patients that they have, and it's showing the return with being able to add those operatories, being able to maybe bring on another doctor, or that new technology. That's something that's huge in today's dental world.
absolutely. And that's part of when we at least start off with any new client, we in every year when it comes to their anniversary, we like to figure out what are your goals, what are you wanting to achieve, because that can help you figure out your growth. And whether you're a client of High Five or anybody, that's just something you need to establish and as a team and let everybody on the team know. I know High Five as a company, we have goals. We're all on track of what we want to be going. We're all in our lane, is what we like to always say, right? Table. We like to go in our
Yeah,
lane to make sure that we're going in the right direction. And that's the same with any practice. You're a business at the end of the day. Yes, you're clinicians. You need to take care of your patients. But in order to take care of your patients, you have to profit. And in order to profit, you
right,
have to make sure you have set goals. And a lot of times, yeah, whether that's advanced technologies or building out to serve more patients, those have to be clear. And then that helps with any marketing initiative you have to really make it more you want to make it more intentional. You have
right,
an actual reason to do it. I want to make more. I want to go to that next level. Communicate to your current patients, increase treatment acceptance, and you'll get there. But you have to have that motive. You have to have that reasoning behind it of what you want to do, and it
right.
makes it just more enjoyable that way as well. It's like,
It
yay! Now
does. It does.
we
You
can achieve
always got to have a goal to reach. That is
that.
something that I try to live by too, is just setting goals and trying to get there. So I know our CSMs do a great job of that, of pushing those doctors in the direction of their goals. And, that is, like you just said, something that we talk about in every meeting that we have with the doctors are, what are your goals, or are you on the right track to your goals? How are we going to get there? Finding those holes that we can, target and really be like, okay, this is where you have a huge opportunity, and let's attack this. And so that's another thing that I think our clients really love, is that we're finding those opportunities that are helping them get to their goals.
Yeah. And one of these opportunities, when you talk about holes, right, that we typically find are just patient communication, the softwares that are being used. We find that they're highly
Mhm.
neglected. What we find when we bring people on is less than 10% are actually being utilized. Why do you think that is? Like, what are the conversations you're having with practices that are like, yeah, because you hear day in and day out, yeah, we don't use it, or yeah, that sounds like us. But why do you
Yeah.
think that is?
I think truly time, because it takes a lot of time to learn and work these softwares. They
Yeah.
truly are super powerful tools for a practice, and they can do so much. But a lot of times, the decision maker on which software they might bring into the office is the doctor. Or, in a bigger practice, it might be a CEO, and they're making that decision, and it's getting passed down to an office manager, a front desk employee, or a hygienist might be doing it. I find that in some cases. And, the hygienist is pretty busy too, and so is the front desk lady, and so is the office manager. So the software continues to get put on the back burner. It's like, oh, we have this, we send out reminders, we say happy birthday, but we don't really do everything that it could be doing. So I think that that's really what it comes down to, is that they see a lot of potential in the software, and that's why they want to make that investment. But it truly takes a lot of time, a lot of effort to be trained to really know what you're doing in these softwares. And that's where our services are great, is that our campaign team, our CSMs, they've been trained in all of these softwares. They work in them every single day. And so having us as an extension, a help source to just figure these things out and use them to their full capability 100% is a huge deal for our clients, because they're no longer just throwing 300, 400 bucks down the drain every month with these softwares that they're using 10% of.
And I mean, we work with these softwares day in and day out, and they even hear that. Oh, it can. I'm sure for them it can be frustrating to have people call them back and say it's not working. Well, we all know it does work. It's what you put into it, right?
Right.
Like
Exactly.
you have to get your money's worth in order, but you have to use the system to actually make it effective. You can't just turn. It is easy to use. You can turn things on and just let it go.
Yes.
Do not get me wrong. That is absolutely the case. But to
Right.
make really the profitable machine that it can be, and it's always crazy too, to, like you were saying, you got office managers, sometimes hygienists, sometimes the doctor's even trying to figure it out. And it's so much more than an email. I mean, we are marketing experts. We went to school for this. We've studied this. Like there's a whole factor that's involved, as opposed to just being like, yeah, it's an email and I'm just going to like make sure that it's accurate and then send it out.
Right.
No, there's strategy as far as implementing to make sure that the verbiage is effective. And I mean, like down to a T, the subject line is actually going to get them to convert and open it. The button is actually going to work to take them to where they need to be. The amount of attempts alone it takes to just make things right, you can't just have it in an automation to really, really use it as the mean marketing machine it was made to be.
Right.
I mean, and on top of that, when you talk about goals and you talk about holes in a practice, to strategically look at something and say, hey, you have $500,000 sitting in unscheduled treatment right now. We've got a campaign that can send it out, like stuff like that. But it's not just a email that sends up and it's like, hey, you're due for treatment. That's a good start. But really going above and beyond, having those personalized touches, having that strategy behind it. For videos, making sure there's a landing page so they don't go down the black hole of YouTube, like things like that. There's a reason why we have a company built around this. It's because there's a lot, and man, it took us 6 years to figure it all out. So it's like, and all we focused on. So imagine someone doing this 10% of their job with no marketing background and being like, I can do this. That's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard.
It is. And then, they think that they're doing great. And then they have, we see this a lot, and they have one patient come in and complain and say, you are sending me way too many messages. I am so tired of getting your messages. You are blowing up my phone, blowing up my email. And they'll turn it off. And then it's off for everybody. And what I always say is, well, let's look at the statistics of this email, and usually it's like, okay, yeah, you had one person out of 3,000 come in and complain, but you also booked 30 appointments with the email. So we can turn the communications off for this one person, and we're going to keep the rest of it on because you booked 30 appointments and the other 2,999 didn't complain. So that's always you never want to have a bad taste in any patient's mouth, but you can personalize and customize these softwares to accommodate people's wants and needs. That's a big conversation that we have with a lot of our clients is, oh my gosh, somebody came in and complained, and we have to turn this off. And we're like, okay, slow down. We don't have to turn it off.
Yeah.
We'll turn his or hers off, and we'll go from there. We'll see how it did. We'll take a deeper dive into the message rather than just turning it off.
Right. And this makes me think about what you mentioned earlier as far as how much dentistry has evolved, right? How times are changing and how it used to be your traditional referrals. But you think of how much more personalization went into each appointment because you only had that one-on-one time. You can still do that digitally. Actually, you can do more digitally,
Yeah.
if you actually utilize it appropriately. And I love that you say this because, yes, one person will complain, 3 people complain. It's still a win. And it's an opportunity for us to update those communications. Hey,
Yeah.
patient, I completely understand, and I want to make sure that you do get the messages you want to receive because we want to make sure you have the best experience possible. So we have specific messages go out. Do you still want appointment reminders? Yes. Do you still want to know when you're overdue for an appointment? Yes. Do you want to know about upcoming updates in our office and anything that updates in our office, newsletter type things? No, I really rather not know about this. Or what didn't you like about the message that just went out? This is a conversation you're having to really identify what they want as a patient, just like you would with their treatment. It's not any different. It's a full rounded experience. And that also allows you to learn so much about how to communicate to that patient. Do they like to receive texts? Do they like to receive emails? Do they like the traditional phone calls? Note that and make sure you communicate with them. And again, that's your lifetime patient right there. They will stay with you for life because you went above and beyond to make sure you heard them, you let them vent. Sometimes they just had a really bad day and you said the email went out at the right time or technically the wrong time. And all of a sudden, boom, you're going to be the person they call next and just let it out. Like they're just going to vent to you. And then when you talk through it, they might even say by the end of that call, you know what, Trevor, I'm so sorry. I've had a really long day and that just really irked me. I appreciate you taking time to kind of hear me out. They're going to love you. They're going to tell their friends about that. You didn't just react and say, turn it off. And then now they're calling 2 months later because most likely if they call to complain, they're going to call and complain about something else if you don't actually hit head on what their problem is. They'll call and say, well, nobody reminded me about their appointments. Off because you scared us.
Exactly. Exactly. It's all about staying connected with your patients, finding what those barriers or what's driving them nuts. How can we make this experience the best experience possible for you? And that is all done through communication. And that's what we try to help our clients do, is just communicate with their patients in the best way possible.
Yeah, I love it. Trevor, this has been super insightful, and I just appreciate you so much for being on here and talking shop with me. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, if people want to talk one-on-one with you and really figure out whether high five is a solution or if they just want to figure out what's best for them, how can they contact you?
Yeah, you can go on to the High Five Practice website and book a consultation there. My phone number is 615-823-8055. Thank you for putting that on the screen. It's a new phone number. You got to learn it. Or my email is trevor@highfivepractice.com. Any way that you can, either avenue you want, I will get back to you as soon as possible, and I would love to talk to you.
Yeah, sounds great. Well, thanks again, Trevor, so much for joining me and let me pick your brain. You are the best. And I'll definitely have you back in the near future. For those of you that are tuning in, I'll see you next week for lunch at 12 p.m. Central Time. I'll be joining Olivia Wan with Modern Practice Solutions. We're going to talk about being HIPAA and OSHA compliant. So we'll see you guys next week. Bye.